Hey everybody, Matt Farnham here. Hope you guys are doing great this December. Merry Christmas, Happy Holidays, Happy New Year coming up. Hope everybody's just had an amazing year. The year's been a blast and just flew by for me. I'm sure it gets faster for you guys every year also. And it's been a great recent few weeks. We have Oklahoma in the playoffs. They're going to play Alabama. My really good friend is one of the most obnoxious Alabama fans I know, but I love them for it. And we're going to have a big showdown here on the 29th to see who wins. But Oklahoma's in. Kyler Murray won the Heisman Trophy. That's exciting. Kansas City Chiefs are playing great. Looks like they got a good chance at the 1 seed in the NFL. But more importantly than all that, the Vegas Golden Knights, if the season ended today, we are the #1 wild card spot. Looking like we have a good chance to get in those top three in the division. So the Golden Knights are playing awesome hockey. Leslie and I have been having a blast going to a few games. I had a chance to get the kids to the games as well. Family's doing good. Brandon's doing great in school, playing some basketball. Mia's just crazy busy with gymnastics and cheer, everything that she's into. And then Colton, we just had his kindergarten musical thing last night at the school, which was a super fun. He's just a crazy kid. We're just having a blast as a family. Hope your family is doing great also. So moving into some real estate updates for you for the last month from October to November. That's what this content is about. And it's got some good news. So we've had some loan limits increase in Clark County. So this last year, the FHA loan limit was about $295 and change. It is now for 2019 going to be $322,000 is the loan limit. So that means if you're putting a 3.5% down payment with an FHA loan, that you can actually go to a sales price of $333,675. So $333,675 at 3.5% down payment. Your loan amount, you can go up to $322 FHA. And conventional for conforming loan limits, they're actually up from about $455. Now it's going to be $484,350 for the loan limits for conforming conventional loans. That'll be effective 2019, which means you can go up to about $605,000 if you're putting a 20% down payment with conventional financing, which puts you at a loan amount of $484 or so, and that would keep you in conforming, which means it's not a jumbo loan. Typically, the rates are a bit better, of course, if you're not in jumbo financing. So if you can keep that loan amount at $484 or less, then you'll be in good shape there. So that's good news. So let's get into some statistics for the market, what's happening with inventory and pricing. Now, of course, you've heard me talking a lot about inventory these last few months. And as we've seen the market react to that, and of course, pricing and all those types of things have been changing. So here's what's going on right now. As of the time of this report, which is just recent, and by the way, this is always information I'm getting from the Realtor Association through our MLS. So I'm speaking primarily to resale properties. This is influenced a little bit by new homes that get put into the MLS. But for the most part, those would be more standing inventory type properties with the builder, not so much dirt lots, which would be the bulk of the new home activity. And then I'm typically speaking only to single family homes. We separate out the condo townhome product. So when I'm talking numbers and inventory levels changing, things like that, I am speaking to single family properties. So here we go. As you guys know, I've been talking a lot about inventory. We've seen inventory grow quite quickly over the last 6 months in a row. We saw inventory tick up at some pretty good rates. Some months were 10.5%, 8%, 20% month over month increase in inventory. That slowed down, thankfully. From October to November, we saw 1.2% increased inventory in single family homes. So that very modest, which was great. That's still a 54% increase in inventory year over year. So still substantially more homes on the market today than a year ago, but overall still very low inventory, and I'll talk about that in a minute. The median list price, so the list price of homes available without offers on them, is down 1.4% from a month ago. So sellers have been reducing their asking prices. And again, that's not so much a reflection of prices falling as it is sellers coming down to reality, because they still have been shooting to be the next highest sell in the neighborhood like we did for the last few years. But we got to price those homes correctly now. And then a 4% change year over year. So actually homes on the market available today are actually listed 4% lower than a year ago. So that's interesting as we watch that continue to play out in the months ahead. Looking at units sold. So we had 15% less homes sell in November than we saw sell in October. A lot of realtors in town, I hear it, constantly. Hey, Matt, do you think the market's slowing? It feels slow out there. Yeah, November slowed down a bit. There's 15% less home sales in November than October. And looking at November from 2017, there was 11 or 12% less closings this November than last November. So it did slow down a bit that month. 295,000 was the median sales price in November, which was a 0.0% change from October. So prices were completely flat from October to November. If you look at the median, if you look at the average price, which some people like to look at median, some like to look at average. I usually kind of pay attention to both. But the average was down 2.7%, what homes sold at in November to October. So prices did fall a bit. But that could be influenced by some much higher priced home sales that can skew that a little bit. So, but if you look at the 0.0 and the 2.7, prices are pretty much flat month over month, maybe just slightly down. And then the average price and median is still up. The median's up 13% year over year. The average is up 9.5% year over year. But of course, the bulk of that, as we've discussed before, was from more the first half of this year when prices were still going up very quickly. Okay, so that's just some stats for you. We're going to continue to keep an eye on this, but as we've been saying, I've been kind of preparing everybody. This growing inventory, of course, is going to affect pricing, and it has. So that's what's going on with those stats. So looking at inventory levels, because that's always important to look at, supply and demand. And as I said, it's still very low inventory in town. Even though inventories come up, it's still low. So if you look at every price segment under 300,000, okay, so I'm looking at whether that's 100 to 120, if I'm looking at 200 to 250, 250 to 300, every price segment under $300,000, there is less than 2.6 months of inventory. So 2.6 months or less of inventory in each of those price segments under 300,000. So if it's under 3 months of inventory, that is by definition a seller's market. So it's still pretty hot, out there if you're under 300,000, and that's a reflection of where the demand is. That's where the typical Vegas family household income can afford. So those homes are going to go, to a much bigger pool of buyers, of course. If you look at the price segment from 300,000 to 500,000, okay, both of those price segments from 3 to 400 and 4 to 500 are about 3.9 months of inventory. Okay, so that is more of a level playing field. If you're between that 3 to 6 month range, it's more of that level playing field. Not so much a buyer seller's market. You're going to expect to probably negotiate a little bit. It's still in a little bit lower end of that of inventory, but definitely feels like a level playing field out there when you're house shopping, because we did climb rather quickly to that point. So, but level there, and then at 500,000 plus. If you look at 500 to a million or a million plus, both of those price segments are more than 6 months of inventory, which by definition would be a buyer's market. And that's simply a reflection of, again, where Vegas homeowners can typically afford housing is going to be quite a bit below that threshold. So you're going to see those homes sit on the market longer, of course. But at the end of the day, it's always submarkets, tailored to the type of property you have. If you have a unique property that's got something, I have a home getting ready to hit the market. It's a friend of mine's property, 1-story home, 3-car garage, swimming pool, beautiful upgrades, 4-bedroom, all this type of thing. And that's going to be above 500,000, but we plan on selling it. It's a very unique property with some great, aspects that are hard to find sometimes in this market. So it's still going to move just fine. But yeah, if you have a big 2-story home and maybe you don't have the pool or the gated neighborhood or something that really sets you apart, we have to be very responsible in that pricing, market it at a very high level, and we're going to get it sold, but we got to be realistic on the pricing with what the market's doing and where the demand is, of course. So any questions on any of this stuff, please reach out to me, call me, email me. I'd love to hear from you. Love to have these conversations, as you could probably tell watching these videos. We talked about the demand on 300. Really what we're seeing is this affordability gap. I think I mentioned this in a prior month's update, but where household incomes are in Vegas, we've seen wage growth go up at 2.5%, 4%, somewhere in there the last couple of years, where home prices have gone up at 13, 15%, numbers like that. So we've seen home prices increase at 3, 4, 5 times the rate of wage growth. So we've kind of gotten in a situation where there's a bit of an affordability gap of where your average Las Vegas family can afford to where home prices got to. And of course, that's influenced by a lot of people from California cashing out and coming to Vegas, Canadian money, Chinese money, all types of money flooding into Vegas, which has been great, but it has priced out a lot of local residents. So we just got to keep an eye on that. A note to be aware of is the Fed does meet tomorrow to discuss rising interest rates. I read an article in the Washington Post that said there's an 80% chance that they do expect that the Fed's going to raise interest rates. So we'll have to keep an eye on that. That'll be an important factor as we look at what that does to mortgage rates, and it continues to influence affordability in the market. Just to give you guys a couple examples, your average Las Vegas household income could qualify for about a $290,000 property, okay? If interest rates, mortgage rates, were to rise 50 basis points or 0.5%, so let's say it's 4.5% to 5% on the interest rate you get on your new mortgage, that same family that could afford 290,000 is now qualified for about 275,000. So that interest rate's a big deal when it comes to what a buyer can afford, which ultimately could, of course, influence what homes sell at in pricing. If you take a $400,000 example, and let's say interest rates go up a full point, so from 4.5% to 5.5%, for example, then that $400,000 home, you're now qualified for 360,000. So that's a big difference, as you can see. So we got to be very aware and cognizant of what those rates are doing as it comes to when you want to go buy a home and get that rate locked in at that payment you're comfortable with. So, back to the whole submarket idea. Let me just give you an idea, because at the end of the day, you might have a home in an area of town with very limited inventory, which is going to feel different than a home in the same price point of a zip code that might have triple the inventory, right? So, just in case you're curious, I made some highlights here. So the highest months of inventory overall for a zip code right now is 5.9 months of inventory in zip code 89102. That's pretty central to the valley. It's just on the west side of the strip, but pretty central. The lowest inventory in town is in 89031, which is in North Las Vegas. That's 1.8 months worth of inventory. So very low inventory in 89031. A couple on the west side, 89144 is 3.6 months of inventory. 89135, which is part of Summerlin, is 4.6 months of inventory. So very level playing field there by inventory numbers. And if we look in the Southwest, both 89178 and 89141 are at 3.6 and 3.8 months of inventory. So that's kind of the Mountains Edge area, Southern Highlands area. And Henderson, if you look at some zip codes there, I live in 89044. That's a little bit lower inventory, 2.8 months of inventory. So that's good there. 89052, where Seven Hills is, and Anthem for the most part, Sunridge, is 3.7 months of inventory. And then 89012, which is primarily Green Valley Ranch area, which is 4.6 months of inventory, similar to that Summerlin area. So more of a level playing field by inventory numbers there. So a lot of information I'm throwing at you. I know I'm talking fast because I know these get long, but I just want to bring you guys value and just real numbers and real straight talk to what's going on out there. If you have any questions on any of this stuff, like I said, please, call me, shoot me an email, ping me on Messenger, Facebook, whatever. I love hearing from you guys. I love talking about this stuff. If you have any thoughts of selling your home, it's never too early to start that conversation. So get in touch with me. Let's sit down and talk about what makes the most sense for your family. We know that life is full of transitions, and whatever that next chapter of your story may be, I want to be there to guide you through that. So please reach out. If you're thinking of buying a property, there's a lot of factors right now. There's inventory, there's pricing, there's interest rates. If you're buying and selling in the same market, that's more of a loaded conversation of how do we juggle all that. I love that stuff. So call us and let us help you through that. And again, just Merry Christmas to you and your family. Happy holidays. I hope 2019 is going to be the best year ever for you, whatever it is that you're working through or stage of life you're in. And I know it's going to be a great year for Team Farnham. We're excited about it. And again, we'd love to hear from you, so reach out. Hope you found some value in this. Please share it with any friends or family members, coworkers that that might be looking for some real estate insight. All right, guys, take care, and we'll talk to you in January. Thanks. Bye.